Hey Kings of Dragons, Dragon King 551 here, and today I'm going to give my take on a movie that just came out earlier in September, on September 3rd, which is the all great movie for Phase 4 of Marvel, which is Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, obviously, I will give you fair warning. This will not be a non-spoiler video, so if you have not seen the movie, even though it's been out for a couple of weeks now, and you have not got a chance to see it, do not watch this video until you have seen it. This is not going to be full breakdown towards it. It's just going to be what I think that was good about the movie, and basically I'm just going to break down the post-credit scene that they had and talk about all of that stuff. So let's get into it. And let's talk about Shang-Chi. So, first off, I rate Shang-Chi a 9.6 out of 10. Obviously, the real viewers and the critics off Rotten Tomatoes rated it at 98%. I rated it a little bit lower. I don't consider it was such a bad movie overall. I thought it was very intuitive and a very good story-based movie. It was very interesting to see how the Shang-Chi's father, which is actually the Mandarin. I thought Shang-Chi was the Mandarin, but it turns out his father was the evil guy, or supposed evil guy. I mean, he wasn't really evil. He was just a guy who had the power of these 10 rings that gave him the power to conquer his opponents and his villains and stuff. So obviously we know that he wants more power and stuff. And he comes into this village of these ancient spiritual people who have certain abilities and, if you want to call it, magic or elements, like Avatar: The Last Airbender, air, fire, whatever you want to call it. So Shang-Chi's father obviously meets his mother, and she's the only one that technically has the ability to beat the Ten Rings, because her spiritual plane and all her power counters the abilities of the Ten Rings. So it's very interesting how that plays out. She gives up her power, though, to live her life with him, and he becomes more of a calm person, and basically more of that rigid and stuff. Later, though, he has two kids, obviously. His son, who's, if you want to call it, the heir to the Ten Rings, and more of a, and then he also has a daughter, who's obviously Shang-Chi's sister. Now, obviously, what happens in this story is that we have how eventually Shang-Chi's father's past catches up with him. So now his mother doesn't have the her power anymore because she gave it up, but she's training her kids in some aspects of it. So obviously Shang-Chi's father's bad men come, the Mandarin's former men, villain people he used to fight and conquer. They come. Shang-Chi's father is no longer there, and what happens is that Shang-Chi's mother fights them. She beats them, but she also pays the price in the end. And so now we have Shang-Chi, whose father gets really angry seeing that, is upset. So he takes his son and his father, and he puts the rings back on. He gave them up to just be a normal father to Shang-Chi. And now that now he tracks down those other men and kills them and stuff. And that's what happens. So later we know that Shang-Chi grows up a little more, and his father wants him to eliminate the people that killed his mother. So he goes and he does it. He does kill the person. But what happens is that basically he does it, but he never comes back for his sister or anything, and now his sister starts training and becoming ruthless as well, and they just don't want they don't want like anything to happen. So he runs away to San Francisco, meets this friend that he's with, and it's just that story progresses, and then the villains catch up. But it turns out those villains are not really villains. They are henchmen for Shang-Chi's father, who wants the medallion that his mother gave him and his sister, two medallion things to always find their way back to her village and her home. So now Shang-Chi's father wants them because this ancient spiritual dragon type creature villain thing wants Shang-Chi's father to release it. Now it's tricking him by saying that his mother is still alive. Shang-Chi's mother is behind that gate in her village. But it turns out that's not true. The creature has always manipulated people to try to open that magical gate to send all of the villains out there. And it's not really working. So the reason of the medallions was to show an ancient way to get through the maze of the trees in the forest. But later we know that Shang-Chi gets also into the story, and they go into a cave. And who do they see in the cave? No other than the fake Mandarin from Iron Man 3, Ben Kingsley. And now Ben Kingsley's in the story. So he finds there's also this mythical creature who is part of that Shang-Chi's mother's village. And so he's able to guide them without having to wait 3 days to unlock that maze and go through it. So they do, and they meet their aunt. Basically, she explains that the monster tricks them, they have a dragon who helps them, and has these magical weapons with dragon scales and stuff. So we also get to see that. So it's very interesting how that comes into play. And obviously, they're all fighting with each other, and they know the downside. Now, Shang-Chi's father and him fight, and it's very interesting because he learns how to use the same moves that his mother used all those years ago to beat him. And it's very cool because while they're fighting, he gets to the other side, and he starts punching that gate, Shang-Chi's father. And now it's releasing little people. And now it's basically taking their souls and feeding them to the monster behind that gate, the big monster, so it can break free. So they all have to work together now. Shang-Chi's father's men have to work with obviously Shang-Chi and his sister and all of the village people. So they're all doing that, and also his friend is there from earlier in the movie, and she's shooting bows and she's killing it. So Shang-Chi gets to that side of the thing and tells his father that she's not behind there, the monster's tricking you, and now they have another fight. And what happens in that fight? Shang-Chi turns the tide and finally becomes the master of the 10 rings. The reason he becomes the master is because he's able to take 5 of them and use them. And he takes 5 rings, takes 5 of them, and now he's able to fight his father with the 5, and they're doing it to a 5 thing. But the aura starts changing from his father's blue aura of the rings to a golden aura of the rings. And the reason behind that is because Shang-Chi, even though he did kill a person, he only killed one person, and it wasn't that bad. So his heart is technically pure and good. So he has the power of a dragon heart. So that's why the power is becoming gold, where his father is more of a blue aura, because it's kind of like he's still evil, kind of, but not really. He was defending honor, but he was killing people that were really bad and stuff. So that's what happened. So the monster does get released, and Shang-Chi takes the 10 rings. Well, first he takes them, was going to destroy his father, and then he just gives them back to him. He doesn't want to. So now we have a problematic. The monster gets released, and his father basically saves his son, and the monster feeds on his soul. So he releases the rings. Shang-Chi grabs all the rings, and now he gets them. And so he defeats the monster with an ancient power, and also in the neck of the monster, it dies. So that's what happens in the movie, basically. And I didn't know Shang-Chi at the time when I watched the movie, so this is just me. I never read the comics or anything. I didn't know he was an Avenger or a hero, technically. I thought he was a villain and he was the Mandarin, but it turns out his father really was the Mandarin. So we also get Wong in the story, Doctor Strange's friend. So he opens a portal behind them at the end of the movie and tells him that they're waiting for him. And who's waiting for him? So we see it in the post-credits scene. None other than Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner. Now, what's interesting is that Bruce Banner is not in his Hulk form, so I guess he can go from Hulk to non-Hulk. I don't know how that works. I just don't know. Or they just didn't want to pay that money to use just for one scene and one post-credit scene. So obviously, Shang-Chi has the 10 rings, and he shows them. They start talking about the legend of them and how the rings gave his father immortality and had them for 10 lifetimes, which is, I guess, 10,000 years, if you want to call it that. So I guess they're older than that. They're also or close to the same power as the Infinity Stones. So I guess now he's becoming a hero, and he is now the hero of the people. So obviously Captain Marvel makes jokes like, "Oh, you can have my number. I gotta go." So she leaves. So I guess that scene was kind of like portraying into Miss Marvel, her next movie or something, because she had to leave. And then Bruce is like, "I don't have her number either," and stuff. And that basically ends. So I guess maybe we'll see him again, Shang-Chi, in other movies such as Avengers and maybe Spider-Man, because Doctor Strange is in it and Wong's in it. But then again, we don't know, so we don't know about that. And then in the second post-credit scene, we see Shang-Chi's sister, who takes over basically the empire of her father and becomes like the ruler there. But I think she's not really a villain. She'll be a good person. So that's my breakdown, and my review is definitely a very high one. I give it a 96% out of 100, so that's very good. I like the story. I thought it was a very good story, and yeah. So I don't know. The story was very good. It was very well based, and I liked it. It was good. It was good. So that's all I have to say about Shang-Chi. Till next time, you guys. Don't forget to stay radical. I'll see you in the next one, which will probably be my Eternals trailer reaction and breakdown of that one. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.